the chosen one. The storm raged inside you, a battle between faith and fear, light and shadow. You had felt it long before this moment. The subtle trembling beneath your ribs, the quiet whisper that called your name when the world had gone still. Tonight, it became impossible to ignore. The voice was not loud, but it carried weight, like thunder spoken in silence. It said, "Rise, you have been chosen." Yet within you, resistance stirred. You wanted to believe, but belief meant surrender. It meant losing control of the life you once knew. You stand before the mirror. The reflection looking back seems foreign eyes too alive, skin too luminous, as if light itself had crept beneath your surface. You tell yourself it's exhaustion, coincidence, a trick of perception, but deep down, you know something has begun. The air feels charged, the night heavier, your pulse sinking with something greater than your own body. And still, the question gnaws at you, why me? Each breath feels like both an awakening and a test. The world outside appears unchanged, the same faces, the same noise, the same endless rhythm of ordinary days, yet everything within you is unraveling. Your hands tremble, not from fear, but from the enormity of realization. You feel your old self slipping away, thread by thread, leaving behind only what is essential, your soul, stripped bare, standing before a destiny you never sought. You remember the years of fatigue etched into your body, the sleepless nights, the endless worry, the quiet suffering no one saw. And now, as if by invisible hands, those burdens begin to lift. The lines of strain around your eyes soften, your skin feels renewed, your reflection almost unfamiliar. Youth returns, not as vanity, but as resurrection. You are not simply looking younger, you are becoming new. It is not about beauty, it is about peace. Stress, the thief of time, is losing its grip on you. But peace is never given without price. You begin to question whether this transformation is holy or dangerous. What if the glow that others call divine is merely madness in disguise? Friends notice and ask your secret. You smile, uncertain of how to answer. How can you explain that your spirit has become fire, burning through every illusion you once clung to? How can you tell them that your youth is not in your skin, but in the ashes of everything you've let die? At night, you sit in stillness. The silence feels sacred, yet cruel. In it, you hear echoes of your doubt, the mind whispering, you are losing yourself. And yet, beneath that fear, another voice hums softly, ancient and familiar. You are finding what was never lost. This is the paradox of the chosen, to lose the world so that you may inherit your soul. The mornings feel different. The air seems clearer, the colors sharper, the sounds deeper. Even the smallest details, the flutter of a leaf, the warmth of sunlight seem to speak to you. They remind you that creation itself is alive within you, that every cell vibrates with something eternal. You begin to walk differently, lighter, freer, as if unseen wings have grown from your shoulders. And still, part of you resists, terrified of what this change might demand. You stand taller, not out of pride, but alignment. The weight that once bent your back is gone, and in its place, a still power rises. People begin to look at you differently, not because of how you appear, but because of what you radiate. You carry a serenity they can't name. They see it in your calm gaze, in the way your presence settles the chaos around them. You become a mirror, their reflection of what peace could look like if they dared to surrender. Yet the struggle within you continues. Some days, you wake feeling divine, your heart pulsing with clarity. Other days, you drown in doubt, wondering if you've lost touch with reality. You ask for signs, and the universe answers in riddles. You meet strangers who speak words that pierce straight through your confusion. You see numbers repeating 333, 11, 11, small whispers of cosmic alignment, each one urging you to trust. Write 333 inches the comments. It's a prophetic sign of your divine alignment. The transformation deepens. Your body begins to release what it no longer needs: toxins, fears, grief. You notice your skin glowing, your breath steadier, your energy renewed. But the true cleansing happens beneath the surface in your thoughts, in the spaces between your heartbeat. Every memory that once held pain is revisited, not to haunt you, but to free you. This is not healing as you imagined it. It is a burning. It hurts. It purifies. You start craving silence, nature, solitude. Crowds exhaust you now. The voice within grows louder, clearer, and it speaks not in words, but in knowing. It tells you to let go of identities, of opinions, of control, and in moments of surrender, you glimpse something vast, something eternal looking back through your own eyes. For the first time, you understand the divine was never outside of you. It was waiting behind your fear. You begin to laugh more easily. You cry without shame. Your eyes grow brighter, your movements softer, your presence deeper. The mirror no longer reflects who you were, but who you are becoming. A vessel, a witness, a bridge between heaven and earth. You start to see others differently too, not as separate beings, but as fragments of the same sacred whole. But with this awakening comes loneliness. You realize not everyone will understand. Some will pull away, unable to comprehend the glow that now surrounds you. Others will question your sanity. You must walk this road alone for a while, guided only by faith that feels fragile yet unbreakable. This is the price of transformation, to be misunderstood while being remade. And still, the whisper returns, steady, unwavering. You are the chosen one. The world will change when you do. The wind shifts outside. You close your eyes. The light inside you grows brighter, almost unbearable. You know now that this is only the beginning. Something greater is calling, a test of trust, of surrender, of truth. The path ahead is unknown, but destiny rarely reveals the map before the journey begins. You take a breath. You step forward. The air hums. The storm within begins to quiet, and the world seems to hold its breath with you, the chosen one. The dawn does not greet you gently anymore. It watches you instead, as though the sun itself is waiting for your decision. There is a strange quiet in the air, the kind that only comes before revelation. You feel it again, that current under your skin, that pulse of something both divine and dangerous. You want to run from it, to pretend this awakening was just a dream. But deep down, you know dreams don't leave marks on your soul. You look in the mirror again. Your reflection stares back, calm but unrecognizable. The tension that once carved lines into your face has dissolved into a softness that feels almost foreign. You are not used to peace. You are not used to silence that doesn't scream. And yet, here it is, the quiet that used to terrify you has become your only truth. But truth has its own cruelty. It strips away illusion until nothing remains but who you truly are. And that, you realize, is the hardest part of awakening. It doesn't make you more, it unmakes everything you are not. You walk through your day as if moving through two worlds. The first is ordinary voices, traffic, the hum of daily life. The second is something else entirely, an invisible dimension, where every glance, every sound, every vibration carries meaning. You feel people's emotions before they speak. You sense the heaviness in their words, the hidden fear behind their laughter. It overwhelms you at first. You wonder if you are cursed to feel too much. But then you remember, sensitivity is not a weakness. It is a sign that your soul has begun to hear again. At times, this gift feels unbearable. You sense energy shifting in rooms before anyone enters. You can no longer tolerate chaos or deceit. It feels like poison. The foods you once craved taste dull. The conversations you once enjoyed feel hollow. Even your body changes, the skin clearer, the eyes brighter, your entire being vibrating at a frequency that others can't name. You begin to understand that spiritual evolution is not about escaping your body, but honoring it as sacred ground. Yet with clarity comes pain. You start to notice the masks others wear, the pretended happiness, the forced laughter, the eyes that hide despair. You wonder if you used to wear those masks too. Perhaps this is why you once fit so easily into the world. Now, your honesty makes people uncomfortable. They call you distant, detached, changed. And they are right. You have changed, but you did not choose it. The light chose you. There are nights when you wish it hadn't. When the burden of awareness becomes too heavy and the silence feels like exile. You lie awake, asking for signs. A flicker of wind, a whisper in your mind, the faint hum of energy around your heart, small answers, but enough to keep faith alive. Awakening is not a climb, it is a spiral. You rise and fall, again and again, until surrender becomes your only anchor. And then, one morning, you feel it, a strange glow spreading from within. It's not vanity, it's not pride, it's renewal. The toxins of old pain, of buried emotions, of endless striving, begin to leave your body. You sweat, you shake, you cry not from weakness, but from release. Every tear is a baptism, every breath a return. The light that once frightened you now moves through you, cleansing, burning, remaking. The people around you begin to notice. They ask what's different. You say nothing. Because how can you explain that your soul is shedding its skin? That your peace was bought with chaos? That every smile now carries the memory of everything you had to lose? You simply look at them and smile. Because sometimes, silence is the only language the divine allows. You start to see your reflection again, the calmness in your eyes, the serenity in your face. It is not a mask, but a mirror of your soul's stillness. You realize that calm is not the absence of storms, but the strength to stand inside them without breaking. Your face no longer hides your battles. It declares them conquered. This, you understand now, is what grace looks like. The quiet triumph of one who has seen the darkness and chosen to shine anyway. Write 333 inches the comments. It's a prophetic sign of your divine alignment, but the journey does not stop there. The light begins to demand more of you. It pulls you into spaces of discomfort, of uncertainty. It teaches through loss, through silence, through letting go of everything that once made you feel safe. You begin to see that faith is not about knowing, it is about trusting when every answer disappears. You start to recognize the patterns, people leaving, situations collapsing, doors closing, and realize they are not endings, but clearings. The universe is pruning your life for purpose. You remember how you once begged for peace. Now you understand that peace comes only after the fire. The divine is not gentle when it rebuilds. It strips away what no longer serves you, even if it breaks your heart. And yet, beneath every loss, you feel an undercurrent of grace. Something whispers, "This too is sacred." In the quiet moments between breaths, you begin to sense a new kind of strength rising. It's not loud, it's not certain, but it's real. It's the strength of one who has faced themselves and did not turn away. You realize that you are no longer the person who needed the world's approval. You have become someone who seeks only truth, no matter how much it costs. And when you look into your eyes again, truly look, you see something extraordinary. The sparkle that was once dimmed by exhaustion now burns with purpose. The world around you still doubts, still questions, still misunderstands, but you have stopped needing their understanding. You are not here to convince, you are here to become. The light flickers again, not around you, but within. It hums like a promise waiting to be fulfilled. You close your eyes. For the first time, you are not afraid of the silence. You are the silence. And somewhere deep within that stillness, a voice you've known forever speaks once more, softer this time, but infinitely clearer. Your transformation has just begun. The test is coming. The air shifts, the unseen currents awaken, and as the chapter closes, you know that faith will be demanded of you again, not the easy faith of comfort, but the kind forged in fire. You exhale slowly, feeling both ready and unready at once, the chosen one. You wake before dawn, heart pounding with a rhythm that does not belong to you. It feels ancient, like a memory that predates your birth. The air in your room hums with an energy you cannot name. You sense it before you see it, the trembling of your soul when the unseen draws near. And then, there it is again, that whisper you've begun to recognize, though it still startles you each time it comes. You are being remade. The words echo through your bones, not as sound, but as vibration. You rise slowly, half in awe, half in fear. Outside, the world is still asleep, but you are awake in a way that defies reason. You feel the presence of something vast, something both tender and terrifying. And, deep inside, you know this is not a dream. This is the beginning of surrender. You walk to the mirror. Your reflection feels like a stranger, yet familiar. Your eyes, once clouded by exhaustion, now gleam with a depth that startles you. The whites seem brighter, the color more vivid. It is as if your soul has begun to burn from behind your gaze. You touch your face, searching for the person you used to be, but they are fading. What remains is raw, radiant, unfinished. You whisper to your reflection, half in disbelief, half in prayer, "What is happening to me?" But no answer comes, only stillness, vast and infinite. You feel both smaller and larger than you ever imagined. The duality pulls at you. Part of you wants to return to the ordinary world, to forget the strange calling, to silence the unseen. Yet another part knows that return is impossible. Once you've touched eternity, normal life becomes too small to contain you. Days pass, and you begin to notice new things. The way colors seem more alive, how the air feels different against your skin, how sounds vibrate through you as if music were hidden inside everything. Even pain feels different now. It no longer crushes, it teaches. Every moment, every emotion, every encounter feels sacred, as though creation itself has opened its eyes and is watching through yours. And yet, with each revelation comes another layer of doubt. You wonder if you are truly awakening or losing your mind. Friends look at you strangely now. They comment on the light in your eyes, on the calm in your face, on the way your presence changes the room. You smile, but inside, you tremble. You want to tell them what's happening, that the divine is real, that the veil is thinner than they think. But you stop yourself. You have learned that not everyone can understand a truth they have not yet lived. You begin to crave solitude. The noise of the world feels heavier than ever. The endless scrolling, the constant distraction, the desperate need for validation. You turn it all off. In the silence, your body begins to heal itself. You eat differently. You move differently. You breathe with intention. Your skin glows not because of what you apply, but because of what you've released. You realize that beauty was never about appearance. It was always about alignment. But there are nights when loneliness presses against you like a storm. You lie awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling the vastness of existence pressing in. You ask the sky why the path of awakening must feel like isolation, and the answer comes, silent, but sure. Because light must learn to stand alone before it can guide others. The truth pierces you. The pain feels like purpose. Your body continues to change. It purges what no longer belongs. Some days you wake feeling weightless, other days heavy with fatigue, as though your bones are remembering centuries of burden. You begin to understand that awakening is not escape, it is embodiment. It asks you to stay, to face, to feel. The old pain rises again, demanding release. Memories resurface, wounds reopen. But this time, you do not resist. You let them burn through you like sacred fire, and in the ashes, you find yourself raw, trembling, and whole. Your reflection becomes your teacher. You study your own eyes and see not vanity, but eternity staring back. The divine does not hide in temples or scriptures. It hides in your own gaze. You begin to trust the process, even when it hurts. You start to see signs everywhere, the numbers repeating, the feathers in your path, the timing too precise to be coincidence. It is as if the universe is weaving you back into its rhythm. Write 333 inches the comments. It's a prophetic sign of your divine alignment. Then, one evening, the test arrives. You do not see it coming, though perhaps your soul did. Someone you love begins to drift away. They say you've changed too much, that your peace feels distant, that they no longer recognize you. Their words cut deep, not because they're wrong, but because they're right. You have changed. You no longer fit the version of you that once made them feel safe. You watch them walk away, and the silence that follows feels unbearable. You collapse to your knees, shaking. This is the moment faith stops being philosophy and becomes survival. You cry out to the unseen, not for miracles, but for meaning. And then, somewhere deep in that stillness, you hear it again, not as voice, but as knowing. What you lose in form, you gain in light. You realize that nothing is being taken. Everything is being transformed. The pain is not punishment. It is purification. You rise slowly, still trembling, but with a quiet understanding that this too is sacred. You have not been abandoned. You have been chosen to walk further. The days that follow are quieter, slower. You no longer rush to fix or explain. You have learned to let life unfold, to trust its timing, to see beauty in the becoming. Your body continues to glow, your energy steadies, your faith deepens, not blind faith, but faith born from fire. You have faced the storm and found calm inside it, and as you stand beneath the evening sky, you feel it once more, that pulse beneath your ribs, that whisper in your soul. The voice returns, not as command, but as invitation. The next revelation awaits. Are you ready to see beyond the light you already know? You look up. The stars seem closer tonight. The air feels electric, alive, prophetic, and deep in your heart, you know this chapter was the cleansing. The next will be the calling, the chosen one. The night sky stretches endlessly above you, painted with stars that seem to breathe. You stand beneath them, feeling the cold air bite against your skin. Every breath feels like a prayer. Every heartbeat echoes with a truth you can no longer deny. The silence around you is vast, but it is not empty. It is alive. And in that living silence, the call returns not as a whisper this time, but as a vibration that fills the very air you breathe. You have been prepared. Now you must choose. The words ripple through you like lightning. For the first time, you realize that awakening is not the end of the journey. It is the threshold. To cross it requires more than faith. It requires surrender. And surrender means letting go of control, even when your heart is afraid of the unknown. You look around the world you once knew, feels smaller now, almost fragile. Every face, every sound, every shadow seems to carry meaning, as though reality itself is folding inward to reveal a hidden layer beneath. You sense it, the weight of purpose pressing against your chest, the divine insistence that there is something you are meant to do. But clarity does not come in full light. It comes in fragments, flashes of intuition, dreams that feel too vivid, moments of synchronicity that defy logic. You start to see patterns everywhere in the timing of the wind, in the alignment of numbers, in the strangers who speak words that feel meant only for you. It's as though the universe is conspiring, whispering, guiding, yet still, your human mind resists. You whisper to yourself in the quiet, "What if I fail?" The answer rises not from outside, but from within. Then you will learn, and that too is sacred. There is comfort in that. And yet, there is fear, because transformation is never gentle. It asks for everything: your certainty, your attachments, your identity. You begin to see the old self dissolving completely now. The desires that once drove you no longer hold meaning. The goals that once defined you feel hollow. You wonder who you are without them. And in that question lies your next initiation. The physical world begins to mirror the inner shift. You notice it first in your body, the posture straighter, the breath deeper, the movements slower but more intentional. You walk differently now. Each step feels deliberate, grounded. You no longer move from urgency, but from alignment. People notice the change before you speak. They tell you that your presence feels different, that your energy fills a room without words. You smile, but you know this is not about charisma. This is the quiet authority of one who has walked through their own fire and survived. But peace does not mean stillness. The world begins to test your new strength. Conflicts arise where harmony once lived. People challenge your calm, projecting their chaos upon your serenity. You are misunderstood again and again, accused of coldness when you are simply centered. You want to defend yourself, but the voice within says, "Do not lower yourself to prove your light." It is not your task to be understood. It is your task to remain true. And so you stay silent. You let the misunderstandings pass like wind through trees. You are learning that truth does not need to shout to be heard. It simply exists, and time reveals it. Write 333 inches, the comments. It's a prophetic sign of your divine alignment. Then comes the breaking point. The light that once felt gentle now burns with a fierce intensity. You feel it in your spine, in your dreams, in your bones. It pushes everything unhealed to the surface: the anger, the fear, the grief. For days, you feel as though the entire weight of the world has settled on your chest. You cannot meditate. You cannot rest. You cannot pretend. The divine feels distant, and your faith trembles under the silence. You fall to your knees in your room one night, the same way you did before the awakening began. But this time, the prayer is different. It is not a plea for answers. It is a surrender. You whisper through your tears, "If this is the path, then let me walk it fully, even when I don't understand." And in that moment, something shifts. The light softens. The silence fills with presence. You feel it again, that pulse beneath your ribs, that quiet knowing that does not speak in words. The divine was never gone. It was waiting for your surrender. The next day, the world seems to greet you differently. The sunlight feels warmer, the air lighter. You see beauty in places you once overlooked, in the cracks of the pavement, in the eyes of strangers, in the spaces between words. You realize that awakening does not remove you from the world. It roots you deeper into it. You begin to move with intention, to speak with compassion, to listen with the heart rather than the ears. The divine now flows through your humanity, not outside it. Your eyes have changed again. They no longer seek meaning. They see meaning. You understand that every encounter is divine choreography. Every person, every delay, every detour. There are no mistakes, only mirrors. You start to forgive easily, not because others deserve it, but because you deserve peace. You start to love without possession, give without demand, walk without fear. You are not becoming divine. You are remembering that you already are. And yet, you feel it again, the call beneath the peace, a whisper that says, this calm is not the destination. It is preparation. You are being led to something greater, something that will require everything you have learned. You can feel it building, like thunder gathering behind the horizon. The air grows electric. The world holds its breath. The voice inside you returns one final time before the night ends. You have been refined by light. Now, you must act through it. You close your eyes, trembling, knowing what this means. The days of hiding in silence are ending. The time of revelation is near. The stars flicker above you. The wind carries your name. And deep within, you understand the next chapter will not be about healing. It will be about purpose. You inhale the night, your heart steady, your spirit ready. The storm is coming again, but this time, you are no longer afraid. The chosen one. The storm returns, but this time, it does not frighten you. It feels familiar, almost sacred. You have walked through its darkness before, and you know now that every storm carries a message. You stand in the middle of it, wind against your face, rain soaking your skin, and you do not run. You let it move through you, cleansing, tearing, transforming. Because you finally understand that resistance was never strength. Surrender is. The voice within speaks again, softer but deeper than before. It is time. You know what it means, though your mind tries to deny it. You have been prepared in silence, refined through solitude, reshaped through pain. But now, the divine calls you to step forward to live the truth you have been shown. And suddenly, all the peace you worked so hard to cultivate feels fragile again. Doubt returns, not as an enemy, but as a test. Am I ready? You whisper. The wind seems to answer. You were ready the moment you were chosen. You walk forward into the night. The city around you feels unreal, lights flickering like restless souls, voices echoing in distant streets. Every sound feels amplified, every movement slowed. It is as if time itself is holding you between two worlds. You begin to realize that awakening is not about escaping this world, but about walking within it while carrying light. You were not chosen to hide, you were chosen to illuminate. And yet, illumination has its cost. The brighter you become, the more shadows you reveal. People begin to project their fears onto you. Some admire you, others doubt you. Old friends grow distant, unable to understand the transformation. They say you seem detached, too calm, too different. You want to tell them that peace is not detachment, it is depth. But they cannot hear you yet. You are learning the painful truth that not everyone can follow where you are going. Your nights become longer, the visions intensify. You dream of light and water, of falling and flying at once. You see yourself standing on the edge of a cliff, looking down into infinite darkness. A voice calls from below. Leap. You wake trembling, drenched in sweat, heart pounding with a strange mixture of fear and faith. You know what the dream means. It is time to let go completely, to release the last remnants of who you were. The next morning, you feel it, the stillness, before rebirth. The air tastes cleaner, your breath deeper. You look in the mirror and notice something new. Your posture is perfect now. Shoulders open, spine aligned, gaze steady. You stand tall, not out of pride, but out of surrender. You realize that your body has followed your spirit into balance. This is not coincidence. This is embodiment. Your eyes gleam with quiet fire. Your hair falls with new strength. Even your voice carries weight now, not because it is loud, but because it vibrates with truth. You feel energy radiating through your fingertips, through your breath, through every word you speak. When you smile, people stop and stare. They do not know why, but they feel it, the peace, the clarity, the power that flows from a heart aligned with purpose. Write 333 inches the comments. It's a prophetic sign of your divine alignment. But purpose is not comfort. The call demands sacrifice. The path asks for your certainty again. You begin to see visions during waking hours, fleeting images that dissolve like mist. You hear faint whispers in crowded rooms, urging you to trust, to speak, to act. The divine begins to move through you more boldly now, asking you to share your light with others, to step beyond safety. You resist at first, afraid of ridicule, afraid of misunderstanding. And then, the test comes. You meet someone who challenges everything you believe. Their words pierce through your serenity like arrows. They mock your calmness, question your faith, accuse you of delusion. For a moment, you feel the old fire of anger rising again. You want to defend yourself, to prove them wrong, but then something within you stills. You remember the truth that peace is not the absence of opposition, it is the power to remain unmoved within it. You breathe. You smile gently, and in that moment, something shifts, not in them, but in you. You feel compassion instead of anger. You feel clarity instead of pride. You realize that the divine does not ask you to fight darkness. It asks you to embody light so fully that darkness cannot exist in your presence. Days pass, and the world begins to respond. You find yourself helping others in ways you never expected. A stranger's tear moves you to speak words you did not plan. A friend's despair draws from you a strength you did not know you possessed. You start to see that your journey was never about personal salvation. It was training for service. Every trial, every heartbreak, every moment of doubt was preparation for this, the awakening of the healer, the guide, the mirror. But even healers must break again. The divine tests the foundation it has built within you. One night, you feel it, that hollow ache of emptiness returning. The peace you trusted seems to vanish. The light feels dim. You wonder if it has all been an illusion. You question everything. You fall silent for hours, refusing to pray, refusing to hope. And yet, in the deepest stillness, something ancient begins to rise, a flame that cannot die. You realize that the divine has not abandoned you. It is teaching you to find it in the absence, to see light even when all seems dark. That is the final lesson of faith, to trust when you cannot see. When the dawn finally comes, you feel reborn again, not in ecstasy, but in quiet certainty. The storm was never your enemy. It was your initiation. You understand now that every fall was sacred, every silence divine. You are no longer seeking the light. You have become it. And as you stand before the rising sun, its glow spilling across your face, you sense the next movement of destiny unfolding. This chapter has been about becoming. The next will be about becoming more than human. The horizon glows with the color of transformation. You step toward it calm, luminous, unshaken, the chosen one. The world feels weightless now, as if gravity itself has loosened its grip on you. You wake not to sound but to vibration, a soft hum beneath your ribs that feels like the pulse of creation. The air is alive around you, charged with something unseen. You have crossed thresholds before through darkness, through fire, through silence, but this time, something is different. This is not awakening. This is ascension. You rise slowly, every movement deliberate, every breath sacred. The body that once trembled under the weight of doubt now stands tall, serene, luminous. You look at your hands, once ordinary, now glowing faintly in the dawn light. You are still human flesh, breath, heartbeat, but your awareness has expanded beyond form. You are beginning to sense the invisible web that connects all things, the energy that hums through air, stone, and soul alike. It is as if the entire universe breathes through you. You step outside. The sky greets you not as background but as mirror. The light bends differently now, or perhaps it is your perception that has changed. Every color feels alive with intelligence. The wind carries whispers, familiar voices from places beyond time, and in their echoes, you hear the truth you once feared to believe. You were never chosen to escape the world. You were chosen to redeem it. The words strike deep. They burn, but not painfully, they burn with recognition. You finally understand that awakening was never about retreating into solitude. It was preparation for return. You were never meant to float above life. You were meant to walk within it as light made flesh. You begin to move through the city, and something extraordinary happens. People you have never met, glance at you twice. Strangers calm when you pass. The child crying in the marketplace stops and smiles. The old man on the corner lifts his head as if recognizing you. You say nothing, yet your silence speaks. The light within you is no longer a secret. It moves through your presence, altering everything it touches. But this new power brings new weight. You begin to feel the pain of others as if it were your own. Their sorrow trembles in your chest. Their fear echoes in your bones. At first, it overwhelms you. You want to turn away, to protect your heart. But the voice within says softly, "Do not resist the pain of the world. Transform it." You begin to understand compassion in its purest form, not as emotion, but as alchemy. When someone speaks to you in anger, you no longer react. You listen beyond their words, hearing the wound beneath their voice. You breathe, and something changes in the space between you. A stillness, a healing, a light unseen but deeply felt. You are not fixing them. You are simply being what they have forgotten they are. Write 333 inches the comments. It's a prophetic sign of your divine alignment. You realize that this is the true miracle, not walking on water, but walking through chaos with peace. Not turning stone to bread, but turning pain to light. You become a mirror for others, reflecting back their forgotten divinity. They do not always thank you. Some resist, some flee. But a few, a precious few, awaken at your touch, as if your presence stirs something ancient inside them. You see their eyes widen, their breath deepen. You see the recognition, the same spark that once terrified you now flickering in them. But with light comes shadow. The more radiant you become, the more darkness is drawn to test you. Old doubts creep in, whispers that tell you you're delusional, that none of this is real. The world tempts you to return to comfort, to numbness, to sleep. For a moment, you almost give in. The ordinary life seems easier, quieter, safer. Then the storm returns one final time. This one is unlike any before. It is not outside you, but within. It is the collision of two truths, the human and the divine. Every fear, every desire, every attachment rises to the surface, demanding to be seen. You fall to your knees once more, trembling, your heart caught between two worlds. You cry out, "Why me?" Though deep down, you already know the answer, because you are both, flesh and spirit, light and shadow, heaven and earth. The storm rages, but this time, you do not fight it. You open your arms wide and let it consume you. The wind howls, the ground trembles, but inside, something shatters the illusion of separation. You are no longer the one seeking the divine. You are the divine seeking itself. The fire passes through you, and when it fades, there is only silence. When you open your eyes, the world is unchanged, yet everything is new. The colors are sharper, the air softer, the sound of your own breath feels holy. You laugh through tears, realizing that what you were searching for has always been here. God was never distant. The light was never elsewhere. It was in you, waiting for this very moment. You stand slowly, eyes toward the horizon. You feel the presence of everything. The trees, the wind, the voices of those you love, the hum of distant stars. You understand now that separation was the dream, and awakening is the remembering. You are not a chosen one because you are above others. You are chosen because you finally remembered what all souls have forgotten, that each of us is divine, hidden in human form. The path of awakening is not about escape, but return. You return to life with open hands, ready to serve, ready to love, ready to create. You walk through the world not as seeker, but as source. Every smile becomes a prayer. Every breath becomes creation. The sun rises higher, its warmth against your skin a benediction. You close your eyes and whisper to the universe, "I understand now." The journey was never about becoming light, it was about realizing, "I already am." And in that moment, you hear it faint but eternal, the same voice that began this journey, now transformed into your own. You are the light. Walk it forward. You inhale. The world breathes with you. The journey ends, and yet it begins again, in every heart that dares to awaken, in every soul that remembers its origin. The chosen one is no longer you alone. It is all who choose to see.